Hello there. Let's try this again because last time I filmed, it was like a 33-minute video. I was so proud of it. I was like, this is gonna be so good. And then, none of the audio recorded. I didn't find out until somebody really sweet left me a comment. So let's try this again. I am just watercoloring. Which is not something I've done in a really long time, but it's something I really enjoy doing. I've always been really into art. And then, I don't know, since I last made a video, sorry, I'm like completely out of frame. When I like do this, like when I get like into it, like I'm like, right, like basically nose to paper, on whatever project I'm working with. But yeah, anyways, a lot's changed since I last uploaded. I got really busy, but I really want to make more time for my hobbies, including painting and drawing. Like today at work, I was like making a promotional poster, and it was just really fun. Yeah, to just like draw it and, get back into my creativity. I was like, I haven't felt this connected in a really long time, and I want to start doing that again. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm just watercoloring. I haven't done this in a really long time, but it's something I enjoy. I've been finding new outlets recently. So I'm starting with like a pastel purple background. I don't really know. I kind of have like a loose idea of what I want to do. Nothing like 1,000% that I know what I'm gonna do. I think I was originally gonna make this for my boyfriend, but I don't think I am because I started doing purple. And not that he's like against it, but it's just not something I feel like would fit his aesthetic. He's a very much a blue guy. He's super blue. He loves blue. So yeah. But I am purposely making this just a little bit uneven for the background. I think it adds a little bit more texture, adds a little bit more dimension. So I'm making the background a little bit uneven. And then yeah. I'll probably go in with at least like I'll probably go in with like a pinker, like a lighter pink color, and then definitely some like deeper purples to deepen this up. And then I'll go in with like ink afterwards for the designs. I'm thinking something floral, kind of attempting to get into a spring mood. So something a little floral, something a little cutesy. It's been a really long time since I did like watercolor and ink. I guess watercolor in general, but definitely it's been a long time since I've done like the inking work. I'm like realizing I'm like leaning over like completely into the paper, but it's like all you guys are getting is just my background with all my like keychains. This is my Kuromi shelf. Kuromi's my favorite Sanrio character. I'm a Kuromi girl. My Kuromi shelf with some Manchichis. I love Manchichis. Got la boobas, la boo, la boo. Yeah, I was like singing that with my boss earlier today. Like we were singing the La Boo Boo song. I was like, oh Lord, this is just two Gen Z girls singing La Boo Boos, La Boo song, La Boo La Boo. Yesterday I went to an oddities convention where they had like a lot of cool taxidermy stuff there, but as my boyfriend and I were walking around, they also had the Boo Boo stained glass, and I was like, that's pretty cool. And then yeah, other than that, nothing crazy, nothing crazy's been going on. Just working a lot. Okay, so I have the background pretty on it. I wanted it to like be darker on the bottom. I also like the splotchiness when you can see like the dimension in the watercolor. So I don't really want to focus too much on blending that together. I do want a more detailed brush. This is also the pad that I'm using. It's just a watercolor pad, acid free, cold pressed paper, glue bound. Yeah, just regular watercolor paper. Nothing crazy. Yeah, so maybe I got a new pack of like paintbrushes today too, so that really inspired me to start painting. So I'm gonna go in with this one. Yeah, and then I'm gonna go in with like a deeper purple. Actually, there's a few really pretty deep purples in here, so I might like use all of them. There's not really, I don't have a solid idea what I'm going for the background, because I know either way I'm going to be doing like inking on top, and the inking is going to be the real star of the show. So I don't know what the vibe is just yet for the background. I'm just kind of creating little splotches on it. Nothing crazy. Nothing too much. But yeah. I was like going in with like cool tones, and then I went with a purple, and it's a little bit more of a warmer tone, but I don't love it, but I think it when I like use whatever. I'm gonna blend it. I'm gonna make it work. So, but yeah, I've been getting back into my hobbies recently. I think it's important as an adult to like not abandon your hobbies and just become a slave to the job. And I'm tired of doom scrolling. This is something that I was talking about with my friends earlier. I was like, I don't want to doom scroll anymore. I want to get off it. And then for Lent, actually, my boyfriend gave up all social media for Lent. And so I was like, oh, okay. Like, that's pretty cool. For Lent, I gave up vaping. It's actually working out pretty well. That is something that I wasn't like super nervous about it, because not to say like I beat a nicotine addiction, like I can choose to quit whatever. But so at my old job, it was a super high stress job, and I was pretty reliant on it. Like me and that vape, I was reliant AF. And then when I quit, I had so much less stress in my life, and so I wasn't really reaching for it as much, which was helpful. And then I went on a trip in early December, and I purposely left my vape at home. And I was like wasn't super nervous about it. I mean, I was a little nervous. Like, I knew, but I knew, like, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna try it out. I'm visiting friends. I'm just gonna do it. And so I left my vape at home, and it's actually working out pretty well. And then when I came back, I started vaping a little more again. Couldn't fully give it up when I started working. I started my new job, and then I started vaping again. Not even like as heavily as I was doing it beforehand. Beforehand, I was cheaping on that dang. Because I used it as a replacement for another smokable substance. I don't think I can say it on here, but that's what I was using vaping for, to replace another smokable substance. And then, yeah, I don't know. So I started doing that. It kind of sucked a little bit. And then when Lent rolled around, I was like, I gotta give up something. When my friends gave up processed sugars, and I was like, I think that's great that you're doing that, but I have the biggest sweet tooth in the world. Sorry, I can't do it. I literally am like, there's a bag of M&Ms on my desk. I can't just give that up. So yeah, I was, and also like, we always get candy at work. I can't give up processed sugars, guys. I'm too. Now that is something like I have a problem with that, but I was like, what am I gonna give up? And then when my friends asked me, he was like, what are you gonna give up? I was like, fuck, bruh, I don't know. Oh, sorry, I wasn't supposed to cuss, but I was like, I'm not quite sure. And the more I thought about it, I was like, this is really like my biggest vice, is this vape in my hand. This Mexico mango vape in my hand is my biggest vice in this world. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna give it up. And so I started leaving it in my car at work. I like wouldn't take it in, and I wouldn't go out to my car for work. And then when I got home, I'd purposely leave it in my car. And then if I did bring it into work, I would give it to one of my coworkers. He's like, this is actually like pretty, like, this is basically just passing my sin off into somebody else's sin. But I would give it to my coworkers, and they would smoke it, and like they would hit my vape instead of me. So yeah. And I was like, well, my coworkers have it the whole day. I don't have it. You can have it. And so yeah, I guess it's just like I like slowly wean myself off of it. And like when I'm at home, I just leave it in the car. Honestly, like at this point, the only reason I own it is for my coworkers to hit it. So that's actually, it's going pretty well for this. It's going pretty well. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is like so random, but like disturbing. Is like ultra Catholic. This is like the most Catholic thing ever. But my ex-boyfriend slid into my DMs on Lent, like with a photo of his ashes on Ash Wednesday. And he was like, I didn't see you at Mass today. Sir, we don't live in the same city. Why would I be at Mass in your city 45 minutes away? Let's think about that. I was like, so you're just hitting me up just to hit me up? That's so goofy. And then he was like, I didn't see you at Mass today. What'd you give up for Lent? I was like, we're not. I looked at that, I was like, I just got an eye roll. Sometimes you just got an eye roll, bruh. But like, sliding to somebody's DMs on Lent, that's a thinker for real. That's a thinker. Yeah. I've also been trying to save more money this Lent. Not an official commitment, but an attempt. Something I'm thinking really hard about doing and trying my best to execute it is spending less money. And so far it's been working. I don't know. I like don't eat out as much. Not that I was like a big person to eat out beforehand in general. But yeah, and then honestly, like, I stopped online shopping. The place where I spent like majority of my money was at the thrift store. I'm still a big thrifter, but I've also been like not going as much because like there's no thrift stores near where I work. And like when I get off work, it's already like 6 p.m. I'm like, I don't want to go like thrifting afterwards. I was like, why would I want to like go out in public where like the rest of the people are? I just spoke to people all day. I don't want to be near them anymore. So yeah, I don't go as much. I really only go on like one day off, and yeah. There's no thrift stores where I work, so I was like, why would I want to drive like 30 to 40 minutes to go to a different thrift store, which is like, it's my favorite thrift store. I love that thrift store, and I have no problem driving there, but it's not always the vibe to like make long treks like that. I'm not really explaining what I'm doing on this painting. I'm just kind of going in with different purples and like creating dimension in the background. Not necessarily shadows or anything, but more blobby. It's a little bit more blobby. Abstract watercolor is kind of, that's how I prefer to watercolor. My mom is really good at like beautiful like floral watercolors like that. She's wonderful at it, but for me, I think I just prefer doing a little bit of abstract work. So yeah. I'm also in the process of growing out my bangs. It's actually going pretty well. They're like almost to the tip of my nose. They were fun for about 2 weeks, and then I was like, I hate styling them. I'm gonna lose my mind. I don't want to style these anymore. And then like for a while when I was styling them, I was like, and I don't even like the way they look. And I was also attempting to like cut them myself, and then I was like, they're never coming out that even. They're always coming out like a little like crooked. I was like, oh Lord, I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to do this. So yeah, instead I'm just growing them out. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. Kind of like the way the bangs looked on my face. I had fun with them, but I'm over it. And like I can always get them back. Like if I really, really, really was passionate about the bang life, I could grow them out again. But I don't know. I guess I'm just like not meant for it. I guess I'm like not as passionate about the bang life as some people are about the bang life. So yeah, that'll do it. Yeah. All the taxidermy at the taxidermy like convention yesterday was so cool. I was obsessed with it. Yeah. While that's drying, I think I'm gonna start on my boyfriend's work. This is what it's looking like so far. It looks a hot mess, but once I start the inking, I hope it'll make a little bit more sense. Not even sense. I think it'll just look better. But yeah. I think I'm gonna go in with blues for him. It's either blue or I'm thinking about doing like a bright background, like an orange. But I definitely have more blues in my palette. A lot of my oranges lean very red. And he's not really a red guy. So, yeah. Yeah, I think I know what I'm gonna do now. So, and with his, I'm gonna make the background kind of intricate, kind of a lot of different colors, but I'm gonna write a poem on it afterwards, so, and then do the inking as well. So I hope it'll make sense. I think I'm gonna go in with a light blue as a base, Um, hmm. Yeah. That's like that's almost Tiffany blue. Which, speaking of Tiffany blue, I think it's pretty stupid that we're able to trademark colors. I was like, I think that's an abuse of a system to trademark a color. But that's just my opinion. I think that takes away from. It's also like not private property. It's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not really that privy to like all of the copyright laws. But it's not something that I think is actually like benefiting the masses. I don't know. Copyright laws rarely benefit the masses. They are made to benefit a small group of people who copyright. And who want certain things protected. So yeah, but I don't know, what else is copyrighted? I know Tiffany blue. I think there's like a certain pink that's copyrighted. I also think Vanta black. I think Vanta black, which is like the world's black is black. I know that is. I think that's copyrighted. I don't know, but I think I could very, very well just be spreading misinformation here. And I wouldn't know. So, if somebody out there knows, please feel free to correct me. I don't want to spread misinformation to the masses. That's embarrassing. I don't know. That's like something I'm like working on. It's like sometimes I will just like talk. And when my boyfriend does it, I always say, I'm like, you're being loud and ignorant. You're being loud and ignorant. And he always finds it funny. But then I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm being loud and ignorant. It's my turn to be loud and ignorant. And it doesn't feel as good being loud and ignorant, but he loves it. He loves being loud and ignorant. So, you know what? To each his own. To each his own. Yeah. And then what else is there? I've been journaling a lot recently. I realized that like I don't like to like journal about my feelings. Like that's not something that comes naturally to me. But I've always kept a journal. I think it's important to keep a journal. Every once in a while I will like talk about my feelings in it. But for the most part, I really like note taking. I like that note taking style. My goal in this life is to become disgustingly educated. I think they can take anything away from you, but they cannot take your education. So I think it's so important to like work out your mind. Because your mind's a muscle just like the rest of it. Like I work out my body, I go to the gym. Why would I not focus on taking care of my mind? So that's something. So like taking notes was my favorite thing to do in school. I loved taking notes in class, even in college. But after I graduated, I don't know, I just like stopped doing it as much. And then at my new job, I was taking notes, and I was like, I forgot how much I love this. And then I had an epiphany. I was like, I literally am an adult. I mean, I can study whatever I'm not in school anymore. I can study whatever I want. I can still take notes. But now it's even better, and I have even more freedom because I can pick the topics that I want to study. And I can take notes on whatever I want. I can study whatever I want. And so that has been something that I've really been taking advantage of since I had that epiphany. I was like, I just want to learn about things that I find interesting. And I'm not going to get graded on them. I'm not going to get tested on them. but I am just learning for the love of learning and for the love of taking notes. And so I can look back on them and see my progress. And I'm a total pen to paper. I never like taking notes on my laptop. I've never liked taking notes like digitally. Not necessarily my favorite, but pen to paper has been I'm a big fan of physical media all the way. So pen to paper has always been my cup of tea, my vibe. So sorry, I'm like opening my bottle of Coke. But I didn't want it to be like, I didn't want like the fizzy to be loud in the mic. But yeah, I don't know, I've just been having a lot of fun with studying things that I want to study, still learning, and just, it's the simple things. So exercising my mind the same way that I'm exercising the rest of my body. This is way more of like a really dark teal color that I'm adding. I'm a little nervous, but we'll see. Okay, that was not nearly as dark as I thought it was going to be. That makes me feel better. Because I didn't want it to be like overpowering to like the pastel, like Tiffany blue background. Or like off Tiffany blue, because it's not Tiffany blue. I don't have the trademark color. But yeah. So another thing is just like listening to like stimulating podcasts. So I've been trying to like get into like educational podcasts. I'm a big history buff. I love history. I was a history minor in college. So that's something that I really enjoy. Is history. So I've been, getting back on like my documentary grind. And stuff like that. So yeah. I'm liking the way that this is turning out so far. I'm like now going in with like a really pretty sky blue. So I'm working on the border and I'm working around the borders of the paper because in the middle is where I'm gonna write. So this is what it's looking like so far, and in the middle I'm gonna be writing. And I'm just gonna like slowly like overlapping and layering the colors. Yeah. And then, I mean, as much as it's fun to like stimulate your mind, I am like still into that brain rot. So literally yesterday, I watched an entire season of Broad City. Actually, more. There was severe overlap because I watched the last episode of the first season of Broad City, the entirety of season 2, and the first episode of episode 3, or season 3. So I have been on my Broad City grind like nobody's business, and it is unfortunately probably doing detrimental harm to me. So if I start becoming insufferable, please let me know. I'm joking. It's a funny show. It is a funny show, and those women are so talented and hilarious. This is the first time I've watched it, like sat down and watched it. So try and get out And I also think it's like a fun, like non-detrimental picture. Oh, okay, I'm only on season 3, but I think it's like just an important and fun, lighthearted representation of female friendships, where it shows how important they are, but like it doesn't play into like the stereotypes of female friendships where it's like, oh my gosh, you guys are like talking bad about each other behind each other's backs. It's not playing into that. It's genuinely focused on love and support of each other. So I've been really enjoying that. Anyways, y'all, I'm gonna leave y'all on that note of loving female friendships. Never stop educating yourself. Get back into hobbies, even if they're grandma core, because grandma core hobbies are important to have. And there's a reason why they've been around for so long. Never stop improving yourself. If you have a bad habit, don't be afraid to kick it. Anyways, guys, yeah, I haven't posted in a while, but I want to get back into it. So let me know what you guys think. This is soft spoken. The whispering, I enjoyed it, but it was kind of harsh on my vocal cords. Probably like go back to it at some point, but I'm gonna switch it up. Bye.